Welcome back to another episode of How Did They Grow? I created this podcast because I wanted you to learn how other coaches, freelancers, service providers, and course sellers are growing their business, landing 10 to 20 new clients every single month, paying them 50, 100, 200K months. See, if they've done it, you can too. And that's just the reality. And I want you to listen to these podcasts to understand what strategies are they using, what techniques are they exploring, because it's in these gems that you can apply it to your business and actually scale things up. When you're ready and you feel like you actually want to learn practical, proven methodologies, or even you want to hire a team that can build you a profitable personal brand, book in a chat with our team because we can guarantee you go viral and guarantee you get clients for your business.
And welcome to the podcast, guys. This is the How Did They Grow podcast. And today we have one of the leading coaches in the industry, in the fitness industry, in person of Vinny Russo. Vinny, tell us how you got here.
Hey, what's going on, man? So how I got on this podcast, basically,
tell us how you got here as this position, where you are in your career.
So I've always had a passion with athletics and knowing how important nutrition is to fuel the performance. I've always had a little thing for it. It wasn't until I started competing in bodybuilding competitions, mainly men's physique, where I saw what nutrition can actually do to the body. So I became obsessed and I needed to know everything that I could about it. My background is in science, so I was able to read research and be able to understand that. A lot of the Gen Pop today, might just read a conclusion to where I was deep into the research, just because that's what I was taught. But to make a long story short, basically what happened was I would bring competitors to stage and I just had a really good knack for it. I was into the whole bro science thing until I kept learning, where I refined what I do and all my systems, and basically became a very evidence-based coach, which led me to get away from helping bodybuilders get to stage and help general population. So now my main focus is really on trying to help people get healthier, improve their biomarkers that indicate healthy status, and the physique comes along with that. So once you start taking care of things, it just happens to have this natural transformation. But there's strategies that I use to help people get to the goals that they want, whether that is to look like they could get on stage or whether it is just to feel, more energy playing with their kids or their grandkids. So.
Yeah, definitely, man. And we were saying before the pod that you're not just, regular gym bro turned coach. You are actually a student of the game, right?
Yeah. So my background is in biology and I have my master's in applied clinical nutrition, a ton of certifications that I could go through. But I digress with all that. I'm not here to boast. Just I do love the science behind everything, and that's just me. It was a passion, and I was fortunate enough to make my passion a career. So,
yeah, not a lot of people get to do that. It's like, and how does that make you feel? Because when they say you do what you love, you don't work for a day. Is that how the saying goes?
Yeah. And it's true. So like when I'm doing my feedback videos with my clients, that's fun for me, going over their data and then making manipulations and then having those manipulations work and then having the clients ask me, well, why does this work? And I explain it to them because my background too, like I was a high school science teacher before I went full go with the whole nutrition thing. I was always doing the nutrition thing on the side. So I love educating. And I have the opportunity to be able to take the education aspect and the nutrition aspect, two of my passions, put them together and actually provide value to the people that I help. So yeah, student of the game, definitely. Yeah.
That's great, man. And as I said, that sets you apart from a lot of these coaches online who, once you have a six pack, it's like people want to listen to you automatically. But once you yeah, man, I think you can tell me more about that.
Yeah, so that kind of grinds my gears a little bit because someone does like one competition and it's like they got themselves, well, they didn't even get themselves in great shape. They used the coach. But what they do is they take what the coach did and then they say, well, this is me coaching to someone else. And they just give that same information. And they wind up hurting a lot of people because they don't have the qualifications to be able to be providing them one, nutrition plans. And number two, bringing people to stage where you can actually hurt someone if you get them too low in body fat, too dehydrated, their electrolyte imbalances. So it really grinds my gears when people think that just because they got a six pack or maybe their genetics are just that good that they know what to do. It's kind of like looking at someone like Chris Bumstead, I guarantee you he knows what he's doing for him. I don't know if he coaches people. I have no idea if he has a business like that. But if he doesn't have the qualifications to do something, just because he won Mr. Olympia doesn't mean he knows how to coach people with nutrition based off of, their biofeedback, their biometric data and what it's saying, and then how to manipulate, and then going off of their food preferences and working with their schedule. So it's not just like, hey, here's the 6 meals I ate, go step on stage with that. It shouldn't work like that.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you, man. I think that's a real problem, There's a lot of, and it also comes from the people, there's not a lot of access to genuine people who have actually studied the game, people like you. So how would you say you're going about putting your message out there?
I mean, I honestly, I debunk a lot of myths. It became a little negative, so I got away from it on social media because I was like putting people down, and I don't like that vibe. I'm a positive guy. I like to have a lot of positivity around me. So I kind of got away from those posts, and it's more not calling people out. It's just like, if I hear something now, I'll explain why it's wrong, and I'll go through the science of why it's wrong. I have a podcast as well called The Balanced Bodies Blueprint, where my wife is a physician. So she has like the whole medical side that's able to support what I say. And it's cool because like there's like a gap, right? There's a gap between like doctors and nutrition and nutritionists and the internal medical health side of people, right? So we kind of bridge that gap on our podcast together. But our main thing is like, let's give out the information that is legitimate, that has evidence behind it, and do this as often as possible to try to reach as many people as possible. And it's not like I'm charging to give out this information. I just want to educate the people that actually take the time to listen to my content.
Yeah, man. I think it's a very, what's it called? How do I say it?
Admirable?
It's a passion driven, huh?
Admirable?
Yeah, it's a very admirable and passionate, it's a passion driven goal. It's like, as I said before, when you're doing something you love, you don't work a day.
Yeah.
And this brings me back to my last question, which is like, how are you working to get that message to more people? Like, do you use social media a lot? Do you do marketing and to get more eyes on you? How do you work with that?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, I got lucky. I kind of hit off like on TikTok. A couple of my videos went pretty viral, and that brought a lot of attention to me. Instagram has always been my thing, and I have a decent amount of following there. It's not crazy, but it's got what I need for the people that actually want to listen to what I have to say. So I'm glad I'm able to add value there. But I'm not out here to try to reach as many people as possible in terms of like followers and likes and stuff. I want to get my content out there. I want people to share what I'm saying. And a lot of word of mouth. So a lot of people will push people my way because of word of mouth, not so much using ads or marketing or anything like that. So the word of mouth and just me putting out content and hoping that the right person hears it. That's all.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree with you on that. That it's not about the big numbers. It's about just getting the message out there. So when people actually look for it, they can find it.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. And there's so much misinformation out there anyway that you have to have something to combat that. Right. So if you just look at, like something like intermittent fasting, everyone's saying it's like the thing to do. It's the only thing you could do to lose body fat, when it's not. And research shows that it's not. So something like that, me having content to basically combat that statement, I think that can only add value to someone who is confused, right? And that wants to know the truth.
So let's dive into that just a little bit. Like, so what is the thing that you debunk about intermittent fasting? Just break it down for us a bit.
So intermittent fasting is a tool, right? A tool that helps you stay in a calorie deficit. It's the calorie deficit that makes you lose the weight. No matter what anyone says, you need to, if you want to lose weight and lose body fat, you have to be in a deficit somehow. And intermittent fasting is a great tool to use to get there. It's not that there's a special 8-hour window that automatically just makes you turn into a fat burning person. If you overeat in that 8-hour window, guess what? You're not going to lose weight. You're actually going to gain weight, and you're not going to be happy. So it's really just the calorie deficit aspect. But I do think it is a good tool, especially for those who don't want to eat in the morning. Me, I get up and I'm starving, so I want to eat breakfast like right away. Some people don't want to do that. Some people got to take care of their kids, get them ready for school, have a cup of coffee, and get to work. That's fine. And then they can use intermittent fasting as a tool to help them stay on track with their calorie deficit.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. It's, as they said, no matter what happens, there's always calories in, calories out. But the
Yeah.
type of calories do matter, right?
Yeah, oh, 100%. So there is some like dichotomous view where it's like good food versus bad food. I see it as like what food shows your body more love or shows
Mm,
your body love compared to food that doesn't show your body as much love. No food
mm.
is inherently bad for you. So when you look at it, it's like, can you have these indulgences? Yeah, you can, but you want to have the food that shows love to your body more often than you have the food that doesn't show love to your body. But you could still enjoy your stuff. You can still have your indulgences. You can still have your Ben and Jerry's. It's fine. It's making sure that when you are having that stuff that is highly processed or that is highly palatable and calorically dense, that you just don't want to overdo it, because then it's going to put you over the calories and push you away from your goal that you want to achieve.
Yeah, man, and it's beautiful to just hear this stuff because I myself, I'm a student of the game of nutrition, and fitness. Might not look like it right now, but I definitely used to be into all this, and
Yeah.
yeah, man, it's beautiful to hear. Tell us how you transitioned out of your career as just not a fitness coach. How did you transition into a fitness coach?
Yeah. So it was really just trying things out. So here's what happened. I graduated from college. I was doing a bunch of different things. I was a trainer. I was a bartender. I was a waiter. I was a substitute teacher. I was a high school assistant football coach. I was doing a bunch of different things, right, all at once. And I was like, I have such a good rapport with the athletes that I'm coaching. I might as well try to become a teacher. Science was very in demand. I'm from New Jersey, so science was very in demand there. So it's very easy to get a science teaching job. So I got that, but I still had this passion for like wanting to compete and wanting to help people with nutrition because I was playing around with it. So what I started doing was while I was teaching, I was building out this business that I didn't even realize I was building out. I was just helping people and they were getting results, and they would tell someone and then they would come to me and then they would tell. So I was like, oh, I could actually do this as like a side hustle. So I started increasing my prices a little bit. And some people didn't like that, but I mean, the value I was giving was, I was getting the results. Yeah, it was working. So what happened was COVID happened. And when COVID happened, I had a decent amount of clients. I wasn't charging crazy prices, but I was getting really, really good results. When COVID happened, no one could go to the gym anymore. Everyone thought it was like going to be this short little thing. So everyone was drinking and eating and not going to the gym. And then all of a sudden, no one was going anywhere. And they were still continuing to eat and drink. And it was like, wait a minute. Now everyone's getting a little bit chubby. They're not happy with themselves. What can they do? They can't go to the gym. So the whole nutrition aspect kind of came into play. And my business pretty much blew up from there. I remember I had maximum, it was 78 clients at once on one-on-one clients, where I was charging around, $250 to 400, depending on the program. So I was making a lot of money and I was helping out a ton of people, and I was able to do it pretty efficiently, which I got lucky with. But it allowed me to say, if I wanted to leave teaching, I could, because I was making more doing the side hustle. I was doubling doing the side hustle than what I was doing teaching. So I was like, this is a good opportunity to leave or stay. And then when kids came back from the COVID situation with the teaching, it was just very different. They were very entitled. We couldn't fail kids. We couldn't like give them bad grades because of what they were going through. And it didn't resonate with me. I taught at a behavior school in New Jersey, and these kids needed structure. They needed organization. They needed to be told if they're doing something wrong, they can't get away with it, that type of stuff. And that was being pulled away from me. So I was able to say, you know what, I'm done with this teaching thing. I'm going to just stick to the nutrition stuff. And it's been great ever since, man.
Yeah, man, that's great to hear. And I just want to say, like, the teaching, I think teaching is an inherent nature. So, like, if you're a teacher, you're going to teach. Whether you're going to teach kids or you're going to teach your clients, you are going to teach. You're going to be a coach. So I think you still saw that.
Yeah. So that, I mean, it kind of, like I said, it went hand in hand. When I was coaching these kids, I was able to explain, like, I was a good athlete, so I knew like what to do, but being able to relay that information to them and dumbing it down and making it so they can understand is something I was very good at. And which is why it worked out well with me being at a behavior school, because these kids were just kind of passed along. They didn't want to deal with them, so they didn't want to hold them back. They just passed them along, and they weren't learning anything. So when it came to like teaching science to these high school kids, they were very, very behind, but you have to take that information and make it digestible to them. And that's what I do with nutrition now with my current clients. So then they can understand it. And eventually, although it's not too business savvy, they could go off on their own and do it themselves.
Yeah, definitely, man.
I hope you're enjoying this podcast. I hope you're taking notes. I hope you're learning so much practical wisdom, because that's what I really wanted from this podcast. Now, I just want to quickly say, if you're looking for a team that can actually help you explode and go viral with your personal brand with proven methodologies, I say this because I've been doing this for the past 5 years. We've got a team of 30 people who are ready to go ahead and explode your brand so you can get clients begging to work with you. Have a chat with one of our advisors. You can book in a chat using one of the links around this video, because that chat might just change your life.
You said something about referrals, and a lot of coaches come on here, especially as the more niche the coach is, the more their business goes off of referrals. But let me know, how do you get most of your clients? Is it referrals? Is it organic content?
It's all word of mouth, man. So it's always, this person told me, it's this person told me about you. Or I love what this person, the way this person looks. I love their transformation. So it's very, very just word of mouth. Or if they see like our transformations that we post, then they might say, hey, like, I want to do that. How can I talk to you? That type of stuff. But it's mainly word of mouth, man.
Man, I think that's a good thing. That's a really good thing. But do you ever have that fear? Because our audience are mainly like coaches and consultants doing the same thing. Do you ever have that fear? Or, and if you do have that fear, how do you tackle it? Fear of like running out of referrals, or something happens and you don't even, you know what I mean, right? You're a business guy, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So it's funny you bring that up, because my mindset isn't around that, and it should be like there should be a plan B just in case. But it's always been, so I've been spoiled by the referral aspect of it, and I'm so confident in what I do that if I keep doing what I'm doing with these people, it's just going to keep bringing those referrals. But worst case scenario, like if it didn't happen, there's other avenues that I could tap into that I really haven't tapped into, which could be paid ads. Like I'm very I'm a person who always needs to be doing something new. So like I created like this AI app. I have a bunch of ebooks that like I can start selling. I created a nutrition course for people that I just did a beta test with. It actually just finished up. So I'm going to be launching that. So there's different avenues of income that can come in. But I mean, like I said, I was a little bit spoiled with the referrals aspect, but I think if you are good at what you do, people are going to talk about you. It's kind of like, I was always told playing sports, like never let other people talk about you. Don't talk about yourself, right? Be humble. Don't brag. So like if I got interviewed by like the newspaper, I would always give the credit to my offensive line, and I would never take credit myself. And it sort of plays into this. You're just letting other people talk about you and bringing them to into your ecosystem.
Yeah, definitely, man. And that's another thing a lot of coaches talk about, which is they say the good coaches reverse engineer their marketing in terms of they focus so much on delivering to their clients that the experience is so good that it just reverse engineers back to the referrals that you're talking about, because they don't have to worry about referrals, because they don't have to worry about leads, because their product is so good. If someone does it, they're going to speak about it without them even having to ask.
Yeah, I mean, that's spot on. Like when I make content, it's not so much like with the intention to get a lead or with the intention to get someone to sign up. If I'm doing this for money, I'm doing this for the wrong aspect. I got fortunate enough to be making a lot of money doing it, but it was never let me do it for money. Like I started off doing people for free, right? And then I was very, very cheap. So what I do with my content is I just focus on pain points that my clients deal with, or questions that they ask me, I can make content about. So it's always like, what can I get from my clients that I'm helping? Because I know another person is going to either have that question, have that issue, go through that situation. So how can I make it easier when people come to my page to have those questions answered?
Definitely, man. Definitely, man. Another thing that the coaches, like usually, especially the older coaches, they're not really friendly, if I can use that, with social media. Like they always have like a team or something in-house handling. How do you go about it?
I do my own stuff. So I have an issue with delegating. Just I have some OCD stuff going on where I need things to be structured and organized, and which is why I never really scaled our current business, because I'm the one who does the nutrition stuff. If we could scale, if I was, confident enough in someone coming on and doing what I can do. Now, can I teach that? Yes. That's why I built a nutrition course, to try to get more people doing it. But yeah, when it comes down to like having a team and stuff like that, everything is really just me in terms of like building out the nutrition protocols, the movement protocols. And my wife, who's the team physician. So you work with a doctor as well. So it's myself and her, and she does all the lab work. She kind of goes over stuff. She does a lab analysis for them. And then you have monthly medical consults with her where if there's any ailments, any issues, stuff like that, she advises you on how to move forward.
Yeah, man, sounds great. But I would say like you sound like the special, or how would I say, like the snowflake, because like you don't you rely like purely on referrals. You do your content, but the content is not the main thing. You know, you're not focused on getting leads through content. You're just focused on doing what you love, and that's great. And you're a one-man team, and that's amazing. But it's amazing for you. You know, it doesn't play out that great for most people, but if it's working for you, man, that's amazing. And I think you should be really grateful that that's working out, you know?
Yeah,
You're able to do the thing that you
I'm
love.
very, very grateful. I
Yeah.
love the life that I'm living, and I do a gratitude walk every morning, and that's part of my
Yeah.
gratitude walk to say something about the way that I'm living today. And like I said earlier, like I was fortunate, right? I got lucky. Like I say those things a lot because it just happened to fall into my lap. Like
Yeah.
with the whole like nutrition stuff, I used to do stuff where the calculator, pen, and paper, and then for some reason one night, and this might sound woo-wooish, but something was telling me to like go on Excel, and I couldn't fall asleep, and I was like tossing and turning, and it was like go on Excel, go on Excel. So I went on Excel and literally like just started creating systems on Excel that made my life that much easier. And I never worked with Excel. I didn't know what VLOOKUP was, but I knew how to use it. It was honestly, it was insane. But that made me from being able to only handle maybe 15 people at once to where I was taking on 78 clients, and I was doing it with ease. Like my workday right now, I honestly work probably 6 hours maximum per week. And that's not talking so much about like trying to create like new things with the business. It's mainly like working with the clients, doing their feedback videos, going over their check-ins, checking their data, taking notes. It's literally, I'm very efficient at what I do. So that allows me to have time to do these other business avenues, like creating a course, creating an app, that type of stuff. So yeah, very, 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 very grateful for being able to do this full time, man. Really am.
Yeah, man. And I can see that you really mean that. Tell us a little bit more about that AI app you were talking about.
So it's called Macro Tasty, and what it does is it takes recipes that are already created, right? So you input your macros that you need, and it takes recipes that are sort of similar in those macros, and it adjusts the portion sizes to meet your macros. So if you're like, hey, I need a meal with 15 grams of carbs, 10 grams of fat, and 30 grams of protein, it'll give you 5 recipes that are pretty much identical, with maybe 1 or 2 that are just a little bit off, where it takes already made recipes so you know they taste good, and it adjusts their portion sizes to hit your macros for what you need. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like
that's not
No,
out just yet. So there were a couple bugs we're fixing. Like it was supposed to be launched 3 weeks ago, but there's a couple bugs that I caught and that we're just fixing right now, and then it's going to be launched pretty soon. So excited for that.
Yeah, man, it's really exciting, especially the fact that you're embracing AI into it.
Yeah. It's funny because you get the question like, do you think AI could ever take your job? And there's such a human element to my job that I don't think it can, unless it literally like can replicate human emotions and empathy and things like that. Then maybe, but for right now, for what I see, like I can't. If I could create a system, right, that can do what I do, then I would have done that already. Like there's so many different type of manipulations that are based off of the data that you're collecting, based off of the preferences of the person, what's going on in their life at that time. There's too many variables for me to say that AI will take over my job as a nutrition coach, right? Can it take over maybe a personal trainer? Yeah, maybe if it reads the data and can just plug in weights that they should be doing for the next go around, maybe. But I'm not concerned with AI ever taking over, but I will embrace it. I even use it for some content ideas. If I don't have a content idea, I like to do a post a day. If I don't have a content idea, like I'll ask for an idea and it will give me an idea, and then I'll create the content based off of that idea.
Yeah, I think what you said is key there regarding it's not going to take your job, but you have to embrace it because everyone is embracing it. So by not embracing it, you're actually taking like a couple steps back, if you know what I mean.
100%. You gotta evolve with the times, man, or else you're gonna be left behind.
Yeah, man, definitely. Now, I want you to tell us a little bit more about your offer. What does that look like?
So basically, we do a 6 month minimum where I take care of everything in terms of your nutrition. And I give you movement protocols and we give recommended supplementations, or I like to call them foundational supplementations. But my nutrition plan is basically going to be geared around what you prefer in terms of food preferences, what you prefer in terms of how many meals you want to eat per day. I'm not a coach that's like, you got to eat 6 meals every 2 to 3 hours. It's all bullshit. I want to make this as seamless as possible for you. I want to make it as easy as possible. I think that the diet should complement the life, not take away from it, right? It shouldn't be too restrictive. It shouldn't make you do things that you can't do or struggle to do. So I work with everything that you want and I make it happen. I'm not someone that's like, hey, you need to track your own macros. I do all that on the back end. If you want to know what they are, I obviously tell you. And every time I make a change to your diet plan, I explain what we're doing and why we're doing it, so you learn it along the way. But the offer is really just 6 months at a minimum. So our average client retention rate right now is 14 months. So people stay with us double, a little bit over double the amount of time that we require as a minimum. There's a ton of education aspect in there and the accountability aspect. So that's why people stay with us. But yeah, 6 months at a minimum. And then in terms of price, it depends on the program, but the average price right now is $400 per month. So you're looking at like a $2,400 upfront cost if you want to pay it up front. We go month to month. I don't do upfront costs. I just think it's a bit of a burden, especially now with the economy. So we do that, and I take care of everything. You have a check-in with me every single week. I give you a feedback video where you see me on the screen. You see data that I'm looking at. I'm going over everything that I'm looking at and explaining to you why I'm looking at it and what I do. And then you also have a monthly medical consult with our team physician, to where if you have any ailments, any issues, if there's anything wrong with the blood work, that type of stuff, she takes care of that on the back end. And she is very good at what she does. She's chief practitioner for the Air Force, so she knows her shit. And we have a client experience coach as well, who basically has touch points with you, 3 or 4 touch points per week with you, to make sure that you're doing okay and that everything is working smoothly. So,
yeah, man, it sounds like you've got this whole thing on lock. Like you've got the systems in place. You've got the clients coming. I mean, the lead flow is good. You've got, how do I say, you got your team, which is tight knit and really like you can always have your eyes on them. So is there any like?
I was just going to say, like, the main thing I think with coaches and what they need to hear is you got to have your systems in place, man. It makes everything so much easier, right? So like the onboarding process is very, very important. So you don't have to deal with a ton of questions when they're signing up, how to do this, how to check in. That should all be in the onboarding process. Like everything that they're about to encounter, you should kind of touch on in that onboarding process. And that's where you need to collect all that information. When you do have your check-ins with your clients, don't give them the ability to say when they want to check in. You give them a time that they have to do it before and on a specific day. So for me, I do check-ins through Wednesday through Saturday, and they always have to be in before 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I know anything after 9 a.m., you're not getting a feedback video from me because you're late. You're late on your check-in. So I'll just comment. I'll give you a text message or a Voxer message, and I'll just comment on that I got it. And here's a quick little recap of what I see. But if you check it on time before those on your day, then you're going to get a full feedback video from you with all explanations. Having systems and having respect for your own time is so key as a coach, because I used to be that coach that was like, your check-in is on Friday. I didn't give them a time. So you'd be waiting for check-in 7 in the morning till 10 at night. You didn't give them a time. So once you give them a time to check in, it's like, they're all going to be in there, and anything that comes afterwards, you don't have to give a feedback video because they didn't respect your time.
Yeah, definitely.
Exactly. So I think systems are so key. And if you don't have systems in place, it's one of the things. So I do mentor other coaches, and that's one of the main things that I go over with these coaches is getting the systems, and then how can they be more efficient with their time, right? So for example, and I know I'm going off on a tangent here, but I feel like this is important with coaches. With check-ins, it's kind of like, why would you hop on a call with someone for 30 minutes, which could go to 45 to an hour, right? Depending on the client. Then you have to schedule that in your day, and then your day's taken up by those times. Instead, have them do a form, fill out a form, maybe let them submit a video, by a specific time at a specific day, then you do it at your convenience when you're going to get back to them, right? I have very, very good results, and I've never hopped on a call for a check-in ever. It's always been a form and then me giving a video based off of what I see. So I just think systems need to be taken care of 100%, in order, especially if you're going to try to grow and scale your business.
Yeah, man, I think that's really important. You know, the systems, the personnel, the lead flow as well. Is there anything like any big challenges you faced over the years, and how did you overcome that?
Well, big challenges. So I spent a lot of money on shit that didn't give any ROI. So for example, when I was doing really, really well, it was called Team BR was the first business. And then we evolved that into Balanced Bodies when my wife came on as a team physician, but our prices went up. So we were charging $600 a month for a minimum of 6 months. It's very expensive, but you're working with myself and a physician. So we started getting less people that could join because of that, right? But the people that we did have, we were making the same amount of money because we were charging more, but we had just less clients. But I wanted to help more people, so I was invested in companies that would basically try to help us grow. And 2 times I tried it, and they were both a waste of about $30,000 because they didn't help. Like, we didn't get any more lead flow coming in. And then I realized it's the pricing with the economy that's going on, which could be the issue. I don't want to go after just CEOs or people that actually have that. I want to help people. And what we were asking was just too much of the people that actually needed the help, like this Gen Pop. So we started to adjust pricing, and then the leads started coming back in and more signups.
Yeah, man, definitely. So what I'm getting is you spent a lot of money on useless stuff and systems. Basically, you had to get the right systems and the right people in place, and you just had to figure that out.
Yeah, so it was basically like thinking that another company could come in and just provide you with what you're missing, and it just didn't work out. And I won't name those companies. I'm not going to try to do a disservice like that. But it wasn't for us. And one of the companies, they should have known we were too advanced. Like, it was mainly for like new coaches coming in, and they had like these gimmicks like scholarships and stuff like that, which didn't resonate with me at all, because I'm like, I'm not doing that. I'm way beyond that as a coach.
No rookie.
Yeah, exactly. I wasn't. Yeah, it's not amateur hour with me right now, so I don't need to run a gimmick to get people in order to see like the value I can provide. So I felt like that was just a mistake on my end and on their end, because they were like, "Oh yeah, you would definitely like. You are pretty advanced, but we have an advanced program," and it wasn't. And then the other company was it just didn't work. It just wasn't for us. But it's okay. You live and learn, and now we made that money back eventually over time, but still a hit.
Yeah, man, definitely. I think you've been able to get this one. You've been able to get this thing on luck. I know you like to say it's luck and it fell on your lap, but I see intentional plays here. You know, I see intentional plays here. So what would you give, like, if you were speaking to a fitness coach? Let's say I wanted to become a fitness coach. What would you tell me to make me to, like, if you had 5 minutes to give me some advice? Let's say I have the knowledge. Knowledge isn't a problem. I just need a way to get this message to the people. What advice would you give me?
Just do it. Stop thinking about it. Right. There's a lot of people that do know what to do and just feel like they need to know more, have to do more. And it's like, just do it. Just start. Right. And how do you start? Well, you need to start bringing people in so you could give them results, so other people could see that you could give results. So if you're just starting out, my advice to you would be like, hey, listen, you're going to go towards the people that you know. Right. And maybe friends. Let's just say we're going to use friends for as an example. You're not going to give your service for free, right? Because they're just going to half-ass it. You're going to get half-ass results. But what you will do is you'll say, hey, look, you're basically going to give me a check for X amount of money. You're going to do this service, right? If you do it and you go through my program and you do it the way that I want you to do it, I won't cash this. Right? You'll have basically my service for free, but you're doing that to build, number one, accountability in them. Yeah. So they're like, shit, he could cash this and I could lose money. But if I just do what I have to do, he won't cash it and I get this service for free. So you have them held accountable there, because now they have skin in the game, but you're also, you're getting results that you can show off, because no one wants to go to a coach that can't show what they've done. It's very, very hard and difficult. So as much as you want to start with making money right away, you have to show the value you can provide right away before you can start making the money. So provide that value by giving out your service for very, very cheap or pretty much free to build up the amount of results that you can then show off. Because then once you show off those results and that you know what you're doing, that gives merit behind your name, which will then bring more people to you. So that would be like my biggest thing. It's like, just do it, number one. And number two, like, just get some people that you know and tell them like, hey, this could be a free service as long as you follow my program. I don't care. Like, I just need results. And listen, if you're gonna make me have a 6-pack by the summertime and you're gonna do that for free, shit, I'm in. You know,
I'm in.
yeah. So that would be my biggest thing. Like, number one would have to be like, get started. Number two, do your service. Don't expect to make a ton of money right off the bat, because you got to provide value, and you got to show that you know what you're doing. And then always over deliver, under promise. Like, even with when you're first starting off, like, you want those people to talk so good about you. Like, a main thing with me and my testimonials is he's a coach who cares. Because anytime I had an issue, like, I would call them up on the phone. Hey, like, this wouldn't be check-ins, but it's like, there's an issue that you have going on. Hey, you're all right? Like, what's going on? Or if you do miss your check-in, I have a system that will reach out to you. And if I don't hear from you, I'm reaching out to you personally. Like, what's going on? Are you okay? Are you hurt? Like, what I want to know, like, you're part of my family now. So over deliver, just get started and provide a service for free initially to get results.
Definitely. That sounds like a ton of great advice. And I think, yeah, as you said, the most important thing is to start with family, because it's low, how will I say, it's low risk in terms of if it doesn't work out, you don't have to deal with bad PR and all that.
Yeah, family, friends are the best way to go, especially if you have those friends that are always trying to do something and they just don't get the results, or they're always complaining about, oh, do I look fat in this or whatever? Like, I know a lot of women say that. So you can hear that, and you got women friends, and you can say, hey, look, I could help you out. It'll be for free as long as you follow my program.
Yeah, one thing I will ask though, do you think, like, obviously the answer is yes, but let's say, is it necessary? Is a good physique, like, do you have to look like, I mean, not Chris Bumstead, but you need a 6-pack to be a good coach?
No, you don't.
In terms of getting people to trust you.
It doesn't hurt if you do. Like, I compete and like, I do photo shoots now. I kind of get away from competing, but I do photo shoots every year just to keep myself in shape. And when you look the part, people do trust you more, right? Like, if you look at social media today, if you have a young guy who's in really good shape, people are asking him for nutrition advice. People are asking him for workout advice, even though he might not know what the fuck he's doing. It's just genetics. But if you could get yourself in shape, I mean, it helps. But that's not the end all be all. Like, that's not. If you look at like the best football coaches in the world, some of them didn't even play. Some of them weren't good. Well, some of them weren't good players, but they know how to relay the information. They know how to look and dissect the data. And that's what it is with like coaching and even personal trainers. Like, there's some trainers out there that don't have the best bodies, but they're so good at what they do because they know they can see the form, they can make the tweaks, right? So does it hurt? No, it could definitely help, but it's not a necessity. Like, you don't need to have that.
Yeah, man, this has been like really good talk. It's a really good insight. Let me ask you this one. Is there anything you've learned from your time on social media in 2024 that either you're going to stop in 2025 or you're going to double down on?
That's a good question. Well, what I've learned about social media is how much nonsensical information there is out there. I would say that my posts that do the best are very positive, where it's like me on the screen, and I'm letting someone go through their transformation, and then I explain like how positive it is or how good that was, or like someone who might be out of shape that's doing a workout and they're trying, and I'm supporting them, like with me on the screen. Those are the most positive ones, get the most results. The negative ones, where I'm calling people out, they got likes and stuff, and like, if you want to just talk about social media, good, but it doesn't make me feel right? So what I learned is that I'm not big onto the whole negative content, and I want to focus more on the positive content. In terms of like looking at algorithms and stuff, I have no idea about any of that. So I just post, and I try to do one post a day. There might be more, but I also realize that a lot of personal posts. So if you're a coach and you're just doing all stuff about coaching and business, it kind of goes on deaf ears. I think you sneak some personal stuff. Like I have a dog that I absolutely love and I always post stuff, gets a ton of likes and views. I did stuff with my wife, how we just had an anniversary, crazy amount of likes and views. These little personal things brings attention to your page. So I think that was a good little something that I learned in 2024 that I'm definitely going to carry into 2025 is doing personal posts sprinkled in there with all my business posts.
Yeah, that really helps with the community aspect, really building not just numbers on their, following 25K or whatever, but it really brings people that want to see, hey, what's going on in Vinny's life? I want to see what his next story is about and this and that. Yeah.
Yeah, it humanizes you a little bit, right? Like people look at me and they're like, you're so robotic. Like you're always like, you're in shape and like you don't veer off. It's like, I'm fucking human. I go out, I drink on the weekends if I want. Like I go out to eat. I like good food. Like I make fun of people. Like I joke around. Like I'm human too. But if you just looked at my content, you'd be like, this dude is very strict, very regimented, very focused on what he wants. It's kind of like I'm human. So I got to sprinkle some of that in there to give that human element.
Yeah, man. Let me just ask you this last thing. So let's do a little role play here. How would you structure, let's say I'm a potential client. I walk into you. I'm not ready to take your program yet, but I just need maybe I don't even need advice in general. I just need like a structure around it because the life is busy and all that. Let me just give you a what's it called? A little role play here. So yeah, obviously work your job 9 to 5. It's a sitting down job, so it's not like it's not an active job. Also, wake up at what's it called? Regular time, 5, 6. Go to work, come back. There's no really much time to go to the gym because you got other commitments.
Okay.
But there may be a couple hours to get a walk in or something like that. But how would you structure that person's life in terms of activity and food just to maximize their, how do I say, their fitness levels?
So, and that's not a ton of information to be able to build something off of, but off of that information, the main thing is that I heard from you is you're pretty busy, but you're very sedentary during the day. You didn't really touch so much on eating, but you did say you wake up around 5, you get home and then you go to sleep. You get home around what time did you say? 5?
Okay, let me give you a little bit more details. Like eating, let's say, don't eat breakfast, gets hungry at work, but doesn't bother to eat at work, but comes home and maybe overeats at home because it's home, Yeah, and gets off work at like 5, but has a lot of commitments late at night, so he doesn't want to burn out.
Yep.
Just going to the gym and not being able to commit to what he has later at night. Yeah.
Okay. So there's a couple things. Number one, if that's you and that's your preference not to eat in the morning, that's perfectly fine. But we have to eat something during the day, so you will be bringing stuff with you. And it's a commitment that you have to make for yourself, right? Like a lot of people say sacrifice. I'm saying this is an investment. This is an investment that you have to make in yourself in order to see results, right? So you don't want to overeat when you get home. You got to feed yourself a little bit during the day because your body's asking. So let's bring something to work or go get something at work to where we know what we're making a mindful decision. And I would obviously teach you what is mindful from there. But you either making a mindful decision or you're bringing something with you. You'll have another little snack before you get home. When you do get home, you'll have your dinner. You have your dinner with your family or whatever. And now you have commitments at night. You have other stuff that you have to do, but you're not thinking about food. You're not too hungry because you just fed yourself a decent amount. You got 2 meals and a snack in. Now we could fit another snack in when you get home from all your other commitments. In terms of like your movement, we do want you to move more throughout the day. Overall NEAT, which is your non-exercise activity thermogenesis, is going to contribute to your metabolism, how you're breaking down that food and how you're utilizing that food the most, more so than working out, more so than doing a cardio session. So how you're moving throughout the day will have a bigger impact. And we can control that. So maybe we have to start getting you to get up and walk to the bathroom, walk around a little bit, even if it's just 5 minutes. We do those intermittently throughout your day where you are very, very sedentary. That's going to help. Number 2, we could do something in the morning, right? We could get up a little bit earlier. Not that we're sacrificing quality of sleep, but if we want to make an investment to where we want to have a walk in, because you said you could get some walks in, that's when we want to do it. Let's try to get it in the morning so it's out of the way and you could live your life in terms of like your night commitments. You could have those without thinking, once I get home from work, shit, I got to do like a 20-minute power walk. No, let's knock it out in the morning so you feel good. You don't have to eat, right? Because you said you're not going to eat in the morning, so you just eat when you get to work. So it's not like a huge commitment. It's 20 minutes. You could do it in your house. You could do it on the steps in your house. You could get a walking pad and you could do it there. Or if you have a beautiful neighborhood that you live in, you could just walk around then. My thing is, like, if you have a pet or animal, use that as your excuse to go for your walk. In terms of like your overall, like what you're trying to eat in terms of like calories and what you do eat and don't eat, I would go off of your preferences. So you're going to tell me sort of like what you do eat and how you eat and what you want to eat. And then I would build a plan around that. But we obviously don't have that information. And then what else? I didn't really.
Well, I like a lot of fruit. I like a lot of fruit. Like, I'm a fruit guy. Pineapples, cucumbers. It's just, I think the problem is just like that overeating, man. You know, I always meal prep food and all that, but it just happens, you know. So I think it's a habit thing.
Well, yeah. So if you get home and you do all the time where you're just like, it's your thing to have a bigger meal, and then it's like you're just going to be snacking. You've been doing that for a long time. That is a habit, and you're not going to break that habit. You have to substitute that habit with something else. And maybe that's when you could throw in your walk. When you feel like you have to snack at night, maybe you want to throw in a 10-minute walk right there, because you're substituting one habit for another. And if you make that a habit in your life, you're increasing your overall NEAT and your overall step count for the day, which is only going to help with the ROI that you're trying to do with your body composition. Having a ton of fruit, that's fine. Fruit has all the benefits in the world. Yeah, it has carbohydrates in it, and the fructose is a sugar, but so what, right? As long as we're staying within our calories, should be fine. I think the biggest issue with you is that you don't eat during the day, which your body then says, dude, I want to eat. Give me some fucking food now. And when you get home, you have the food around you. The environment's there, right? So you could also work on your environment. So have stuff in there that you know is going to be food that shows your body love, right? Not so much the Pringles. And like, if you have nuts there, good. Try to get those 100 calorie bag nuts, not the big jugs, because if you're like me, I could eat handfuls and handfuls and handfuls of nuts, and those are driving my calories to the roof, right? So you got to make the environment support your goal. And if that's throwing some food out or giving it away, so be it, because it's about your goal in the moment.
Definitely, man. I think that's some really great advice. And let me just end on this. Where can the people go to learn and find more about your work?
Yeah, so they could go to my website, which is www.balancedbodies.io. You could go to my Instagram, which is Vinny Russo _balancedbodies. That's where I put out most of my content. Anything that gets like on TikTok or Facebook is regurgitated from Instagram. So those would be the two.
What's the Instagram again?
Vinny Russo, VINNY RUSSO _balanced BALANCED BODIES, Balanced Bodies. That's it.
Okay, man. I think this has been a great one. The people will definitely check out your stuff, and it's been great having you on, Vinny.
Thanks. Well, thank you for having me on, and hopefully I added some value to your listeners today.
I really hope you enjoyed this podcast. I want you to go away and execute everything there is that you've learned. Now, one thing I will say is if you're in a position where you're ready to actually take things to another level, you want structured, clear guidance, you want a team that can actually help accelerate you, book in a chat with our advisors. Why? We can blow up your personal brand to attract clients begging to work with you. All you got to do is book in a chat with our advisors and we can help make it happen. Sound fair enough?